Thank you very much for the introduction. Now, it is indeed a challenge to be the first speaker after lunch, so I prepared a very loud video. Okay. It has nothing to do with my presentation. I hope you woke up. So my name is Peter. I graduated in architecture in Hungary, and I work for Graphisoft for 3 years now as a business development and BIM implementation manager. Just a few words about our company. We're developing software, BIM software for the AEC industry. Our products are available for Macintosh and Windows platforms and in more than 100 countries worldwide, and we have localized versions in more than 25 different regions, and Archicad has been translated into 17 languages, including traditional and simplified Chinese as well. Graphisoft has been part of the Nemetschek Group since 2007. The mission of our company is to bring BIM into common practice in the design and realization of buildings by delivering a comprehensive BIM-based workflow with products in these three main categories: BIM authoring tools, which is Archicad; BIM data management, which is BIM server; and BIM Data Access, which is BIMx, a mobile application available in Android and iOS as well. So we've been on the market since 30 years now. It's not much in a man's lifetime, but definitely makes us one of the oldest players in the BIM industry. Okay, that's all for introduction. Let's talk about what I want my presentation today. I've collected some research and some studies about BIM and about cloud, how contractor companies are using BIM and using cloud, and what are the trends for the future. My main source was a research done by McGraw Hill Construction. They have been tracking the business impacts of technology since 2007, and it turned out that construction companies have emerged as the leading drivers of the BIM innovation and value. It has showed that 75% of all the contractor companies in the leading markets reported a positive return on investment on BIM. And it's interesting to see, if we think about the region, that Japan is one of the leaders with a stunning 97% report. Now, the other chart shows what are the companies mentioning as one of the top 3 benefits of BIM for their company. And I would like to highlight the second one, which is collaborating with owners and design firms. Another interesting fact is that the return of investment is directly linked with the level of engagement in BIM. And if we look at the chart on the left side, we can see that companies with a very high BIM engagement have 90% of them reported a very positive or moderately positive feedback about investing into BIM. And those companies with a very low BIM engagement, 35% of them are still in the negative or in the break-even area. Another interesting study compares the contractors in average and compares those contractors which have a very high BIM engagement level. These are the main targets of investment of contractor companies in the next 2 years. So I have highlighted them as develop internal collaboration BIM processes, develop external collaborative processes, and new upgraded mobile devices. So we can conclude that companies with a high level of BIM engagement are surely reporting positive return on BIM and are planning to invest into improving collaboration processes and mobile technology. Now let's talk about the cloud in general. This is a buzzword. It's everywhere now, and it's more and more used in connection with BIM these days. Now let's see how the construction companies using cloud at the moment. These are the top 3 tasks that the contractor companies are using cloud in general, cloud computing on the side. This is to access different softwares for business and project activities, so document management, project information, or accounting, and host 1 or 2 models for team access on the site. We can also compare that the companies with a very high BIM engagement are doing these activities in average 10% higher than the contractors in general. In the other chart, we can see that if the companies provide some kind of model for the field staff, what kind of platforms they are using. And we can say that obviously the computer on job is the dominant one, but you can see the rising ratio of the wireless handheld devices. The average value for the companies in general is 42%, but for those with a very high BIM engagement level, it's already 63%. And in the leading markets, just like Germany or France, this is above 70%. So it means, for example, in Germany, 3/4 of the companies who provide model access to their staff on site are using some kind of mobile device. This is just to show an interesting study by the Department of Civil Engineering in the National Kaohsiung University of Applied Sciences in Taiwan. This is a cloud BIM system. It's a vision combining BIM technology and cloud computing. The envisioned system can manipulate 3D BIM models through the web without the limitation of time and distance. And the system can also facilitate communication and distribution of information between all the participants. So this study shows that the main benefit of cloud, according to the University of Kaohsiung, will be connecting the various project participants in a cloud-based collaboration workflow. So manipulating the BIM model in the cloud. So before I would state the thesis of my presentation today and go into the 3 main topics I'd like to talk about, I just collected, as an introduction, as I see, the 3 main perceptions of cloud technology today. So it can be as simple as a storage, like Dropbox or iCloud. Just put large amounts of data somewhere which is not my computer, so I don't have to reserve all that space. And the second perception could be the location of the documents, or in other words, this is the access. In a traditional workflow, the location of the documents are linked to the computer we're using. So it is my computer, your computer is in the office in Tokyo, I left it in the office in New York. But in a cloud system, there's no such a thing as location. And even though they are located somewhere in the cloud, it doesn't matter. What matters is what kind of access rights do you have. Even if you have folder structure, even if you have a very similar folder structure than in a traditional computer, it still doesn't matter, because if you don't see those folders or you don't have access to them, you don't see that document. So what matters is what you see with your access. It's not where the documents are located. And the third most commonly used notion with BIM is computing, simply relieving your own hardware from doing very difficult tasks, such as, for example, a rendering or some kind of analysis or calculation. But my question is that all what cloud technology is about? Do we think that just storing files in the cloud, putting different functions in the cloud, can we fully leverage the potential of cloud technology? And my answer is we need 3 more targets, 3 more. I'd like to identify 3 more key areas which I believe are the true potential of cloud technology. These are communication, collaboration, and mobile technology. So I'd like you to remember these 3 words. This would be the spine of my presentation today. So let's start with a solution for communication. I'd like to talk about the BIM collaboration file format. This has been developed by Tekla Corporation and Solibri Incorporation, and they have introduced to Building Smart an idea of using open standards to enable workflow communication between different BIM software tools. This is an XML called BCF to encode issues found in the BIM model that are easy to read by different software tools. So the point of this kind of communication is that the model transfer and the transfer of different issues identified in the project are separated from each other. So it means that we don't have to send the model information with each and every issue we have identified. We send the model only once, and we record issues one by one and send the issues separately. This way, the issues, the file size of the issues can be reduced to simple kilobytes, so that the data transfer on the internet can be reduced. And the XML scheme is very easy to read by any kind of software. So you'll see in the end what are those softwares that are compatible with BCF. So I'll show you an example. I'm going to use ArchiCAD and Tekla BIM-CIC to show you how we can communicate these issues with each other. So first you have to identify the issue. You can do it manually by highlighting certain elements, or you can use some automatic process like a clash detection between MAP and structural elements. As you can see, the elements highlighted with orange color. One of them, the horizontal one, is a structural beam right below the slab, and the other one, which is going from the left to the right, it's an MEP element. So it's a collision, which was automatically identified by ArchiCAD. Now we have an entry already. This issue contains the information about the element, of course the person who created this issue and the date. It contains the 3D cut view, which is the position of the camera and 3D cutting planes. So what you see on the bottom right corner of the screen is actually not a screenshot. It's a 3D view that we can restore in any other BIM software which is reading the BCF file. And then, of course, we input some comments, we input the category as well. And then we can save it as a BCF. And the second step of the communication is transferring the model between the different BIM softwares. So if you're not using the same BIM software, you can use an open standard like an IFC file format. I can show you that in this picture you see the main IFC file and an MEP file, both imported into Tekla BIM-CIC. Now, Tekla BIM-CIC is free of charge. Anyone can download it. So basically, you can communicate with anyone who has access to a computer. So when importing the BCF file, which was recorded in ArchiCAD, we can see the same kind of information. The 3D view has been restored. The 3D cut planes are there. So you can actually locate your issue in any kind of model, regardless of the size and complexity. And you see the information there. There is the 3D snapshot, the 3 objects highlighted with purple lines, the name of the person who created the comment, and also the comment is there. So what we have to do is create our answer. It's also going to be a BCF file. We highlight the element. It's the structural beam. You can see the instructions there, shorten beams, and assign a certain profile, name of the person, 3D snapshot, all included, and save it as a BCF file and send it back to the original software. And now you can see that the same kind of 3D view was restored. 3D cut planes are cutting the model, so you can easily identify this issue within the model. So this is a truly open standard that will hopefully transfer the way we communicate issues among project stakeholders. As you see, many of the popular BIM applications have already adopted using it. And the original developers wish to transfer the ownership and rights of the BCF scheme to Building Smart for adoption as an open standard and maintaining it for the benefit of the industry. And the second thing I'd like to talk about is collaboration. In order to understand that, and in order to understand the case studies that I'm about to show, I have to talk a few words about the technology being used. And for that, I'd like to begin with the teamwork concept. In a very short definition, a teamwork is how we manipulate the model in the cloud or just on a local area network. it offers a real-time collaboration environment with prompt updates about the BIM model. So every participant can work on the latest version of the project. It's just like you're sitting next to each other, although you may be sitting in different countries. It's based on a dynamic workflow where users can reserve, release, or request elements from each other. So once an element is reserved by someone, it cannot be modified by any other user until it's released or requested by someone else. This kind of workflow is supported by a context-sensitive messaging system where users can include element information and location with the request and the messages. Teamwork also supports the BCF files, so it facilitates an open communication workflow with any stakeholder in the project. So based on the teamwork concept, based on the real-time collaboration concept of teamwork, the Graphisoft BIM Cloud is connecting teams and projects of any size or setup using a very simple HTTP protocol accessible from computers or even mobile devices. It can scale up to any size of project and any size of team or any number of companies. It can comply with stringent security measures with its very flexible access management system. And it's fully integrated with the company's Active Directory user database. So you can just ask your IT manager to import all your users, and you can use the same login, the same password for accessing the BIM Cloud. So this is not a service that is provided by Graphisoft. We just give the software package that can be used in many ways. It consists of three main parts: the BIM Cloud Manager, which is responsible for managing the users, the projects, project location, the access rights, the libraries, the BIM Cloud servers. These are the ones that are hosting the BIM data. And when you're working on the files, these are the servers that this is where basically the computational task of manipulating the model is done. And the third is client access licenses. So just collected a few ideas on how BIMcloud can be utilized this way. First is, there is a company where the complete deployment is owned by the same company to improve internal and external collaboration workflow. For example, with its overseas offices or consultants or customers. So these selected companies that belong to the group all have access to the BIM data based on the access rights they have. Another scenario, and I can imagine, is a service provider that a company may provide management or maintenance services to operate the BIM Cloud. Server components can be located anywhere, but basically the BIM data is not owned and not manipulated by the service provider. The customers who are manipulating this BIM data, for example, a design office, subscribe to this service from the service provider, are gaining the access from the service provider to the projects. You can also imagine a scenario where the BIM data and the management and everything is done by one company, serving as a kind of BIM authority, hosting the projects on their site, but allowing subcontractors or design offices to join inside the BIM Cloud and work on the projects for them. So with these flexible components, my conclusion is that BIM Cloud can be used in many ways and actually can introduce you to new business opportunities. Let's talk about some trends in the mobile technology as well. The latest research from Digitime says that global shipments of smartphones, tablets, and notebooks are expected to top 1.3 billion units this year. It means that in these days there are more mobile devices than toothbrushes. So the falling price of mobile devices and the rise of emerging markets have made smartphones a mass market device and accessible to everyone now. So one more component of the case studies I'm going to show is BIMx Docs. It's a mobile application available for tablets and smartphones as well, both in Android and iOS operating system. And I will explain the detailed benefits of this application within the case studies, and I'm also going to show you some demonstration in the end of the presentation. You may have guessed when I was introducing you some trends about the BIM industry that my case studies are going to come from Japan. I have two studies, one from Kajima Corporation and the other one from Obayashi Corporation. Now, these slides are presented by Kajima, so I'm going to show them as they were. In 2013, Kajima implemented a cloud platform for collaboration to manage the expanding number of BIM projects. This was called Global BIM, and I will explain the evolution of this technology and the conclusions they have found. Kajima has started its business 170 years ago, and it has its headquarters in Tokyo, Japan. Now it has grown into a company of 15,000 employees worldwide and an annual turnover of total $15 million US. There are many offices in all over the world. They have 3 regional headquarters: Kajima Europe, Kajima USA, and Kajima Overseas Asia and Singapore. The size of the circle indicates the volume of their turnover. They have different modeling staff to help them develop their BIM models in various countries in the region, in Korea, Philippines, India, and 2 of them in Japan. Now, in this chart, you can see the number of BIM projects within Kajima Corporation. As you can see, from 2009, the number of projects has almost doubled every year. And they're expecting to reach more than 100 BIM projects by the end of 2014. So the first step towards the global BIM solution was to implement teamwork using Graphisoft BIM Server as a empowering software. The problem was with this that the BIM server is actually optimized for local area network, and it requires special ports for access, and that has limitations on security when we're talking about accessing it from high distance. So the second step was to set up the BIM server in a cloud environment. Kajima has provided 2 access lines, one direct connection from themselves and one from the internet to the modeling companies. So this external line made it possible to connect remote offices through the internet into the cloud server. So this was called Global BIM 1.0. This is still not entirely a cloud solution. Basically, they're just putting the local area network into a computer which is off-site. The supporting companies now could easily join to the BIM server. After 1 year of using it, they found that the modeling time became shorter and the quality was higher. The data transfer between the stakeholders was much faster, and the projects were accessible from any time and anywhere. The BIMcloud was released in March this year, and they have migrated their BIM server into the BIMcloud and found some advantages. For example, the accessibility was enhanced greatly because it's using an HTTP protocol, and there's no need for setting up VPN or specific ports or any complicated IT setup. And the flexible role and access management allowed design companies and subcontractors to join in. So you can see that with the Global BIM 1.0, they can only facilitate modeling companies and business travelers, which basically belong to the company. But with the BIMcloud and the Global BIM 2.0, they could facilitate working with design companies, subcontractors, or even customers could gain access to the BIM data. The second case study I would like to show is from Obayashi Corporation. They have a history of approximately 120 years, and they're one of the world's leading construction contractors and Japan's leading listed company. Their head office is in Tokyo, Japan, and they have more than 8,000 people worldwide. In 2011, Obayashi Corporation announced that it has signed an agreement on the joint development of a BIM cloud computing platform with NEC Corporation and Graphisoft. The goal of the agreement was to provide technology leadership for Obayashi through integrated BIM workflows and company-wide BIM-based information sharing. So now an alliance was formed between these 3 companies. Obayashi communicated its requirements, and NEC provided its know-how of building large-scale cloud systems for Graphisoft. And Graphisoft provided the latest software components to NEC and supplied Obayashi with the gradually improved software. So finally, in 2014, April, Obayashi launched the Smart BIM Cloud system. that shares the BIM model data through cloud computing, centered on the Graphisoft BIM Cloud and the ArchiCAD BIM model viewer BIMX docs. This collaboration system also cooperates with various BIM software. So since launching the BIM Cloud, approximately 80 projects and 800 people has been working on it. It has been only half a year so far. The goal of the Smart BIM Cloud is to achieve secure and smooth information sharing, quick coordination among design offices, general contractors and subcontractors. You can see how the user directory of Obayashi can be directly connected to the BIM Cloud, and then even clients, suppliers are able to join through the internet. In every process of the project, such as design, construction, completion, project members can see the 3D information of buildings through the internet or intranet. And the latest BIM models that are created using ArchiCAD can be accessed with the BIMX docs model viewer anytime and anywhere. There are a few things I would like to highlight from the interview with Obayashi Corporation. Mr. Hiroshi Miyagawa said that the Smart BIM Cloud database centrally manages not only building models, but many different building information, including design process, procurement, and various types of simulations. This makes the process smooth and improves quality. If BIM models are managed on different computers or several servers separately, it causes a time loss. We can reduce such a loss of time significantly. Mr. Atsushi Motoya highlighted the access of suppliers to the model data is also of high importance. So, for example, it can be avoided that outdated drawings are used for the construction site, or equipment on the site is being produced by drawings which are not up to date. So the applications that can display 2D documents or 3D models are already available on the market. The problem is that they come as a different software, and it's very hard to coordinate between them. So Obayashi has been using BIMX docs application to put the entire BIM building information model onto the mobile device. It contains the drawings and the model at the same time. These drawings are linked to the 3D model. They are linked inside the context of the 3D model in a smart way. So very obviously, if you're walking on the floor, you can simply tap on the floor to access the floor plan. You can find these hyperlinks in the 3D space and access sections, elevations, details, or any kind of drawing you may find. So that's why we call this a hypermodel concept. There are also smooth transitions between the 2D space and the 3D space. So once you've found this hyperlink, you can jump to the 2D space right away. We have 3D cutting planes which can be moved in real time, so you can create your sections on the fly. And it also supports BCF communication, which you will see very soon. We can communicate with the BIM Cloud. So as a result of this collaboration with Obayashi, they have announced to equip 4,000 Obayashi staff with iPads and BIMX docs applications in order to completely remove the paper for the documentation workflow and make the BIM data accessible on the construction site. So we've seen today that BIM technology is also adopting the benefits of cloud computing to improve communication, collaboration processes. And mobile technology is also gaining in territory in the SACS to BIM projects and communication between different stakeholders. So I'd like to finish my presentation with a demonstration. Just a few minutes. It takes like 3 minutes. I'll switch to my iPad, and I'm going to call my colleague from Singapore to help me out.
Peter.
Hi, Marcelo. Are you in the office?
Yes, I'm in the office.
I'm at the BIM conference in Hong Kong, and I need your help. I'd like to get some information on the NHS project. I'll send you some messages through BIMX. Can you answer me?
Yes, I'm already logged into the project through BIMcloud.
Okay, thank you. Bye. So what I'm holding now is the BIMX Docs application. Just a very short overview, what I had mentioned that you see, this is a 3D model viewer in the first glance, but you see these 3D hyperlinks in space. They actually give you access to the 2D documentation. As I said, they are built inside the context of the 3D model. So if I want to access a floor plan, I click on the floor plan, and I just open it. So BIMX Docs will jump to the 2D space from the place where I was standing. And you can see that this is a very high quality drawing. And these hyperlinks are all across the project. It's not very visible, but you may see, if I zoom in, these blue markers. For example, this is a section view. You can jump to the section view and also view it in 3D. So now I can move the section independently, or I can decide to move the cut plane to create new sections. So it's at the same time, it's a way to combine the 2D documents and the 3D model, or you can also use it as an interactive presentation tool. Okay, now let's see some issues that I've been thinking about. I had some problems I want to solve. For example, I'm walking around in the lobby of the building, and I'd like to know some information about certain elements. So maybe let me just walk closer to this place. I want to know the height of the stairs. So I will send a message to my colleague. You can see Marcelo is online, and even Peter from Japan. I'll add the context, which is the location of in the 3D model. And I also do some highlight, and I will ask him about the height. I'll send this message to him. Oh. Where's the Wi-Fi? That's nice. Oh yeah, my computer is off. Okay. Yeah, it's really 1 minute if I can set up the Wi-Fi again. Yep. Okay, hopefully we will be joining back into the project. So, to give you an idea about the background of what's happening, we are both joined to the same BIMcloud project. Marcelo, my colleague, is joined from an ArchiCAD in Singapore, and I'm using this iPad here at the conference. Well,
It's typical. Singapore lets us down every time.
Yeah. We've never tested it like this before, so let's hope we can get back online. Let me show you no network. No,
I think, Peter, in the interest of time, we're going to have to cut you off, I'm afraid. We believe you that it works.
Yeah.
Have you got him?
Well, I think if I send it now, around 1 minute, the answer will arrive. You can also,
Do
I can show you some existing.
Do a quick wrap up, just because we're now another 6 minutes over time on this presentation.
Oh, okay. Well, I did my wrap up already. Or I wanted to show is that, for example, it's an existing message I get from my colleague from Japan. If I click on the open view, you could see that from the 3D, I was actually moved to the 2D context, because this is the view he was attached to it. You can see the message in Hungarian and also the screenshot that has been attached to it. So, yeah, no answer so far. So the point is that we're not sending screenshots to each other. We are sending the locations, our location within the project. So if it's in a 3D, it's a 3D location, then we're going to jump there in the 3D space. Or if it's a 2D location, then we're going to jump there. For example, here, this all included in the messages. So you can just take your iPad to the construction site. You got drawings, you got model, you got live chat with your colleagues. Thanks.
Well done. Thank you, Peter.